Bored no more.
I'm going to introduce my next guest. I'm going to stop rambling. I believe my next guest is actually Benjamin Owen. You know, we got him. I'm bringing him on. He has a love letter, I think, that he wants to read to Jim Bob. I think that's what's happening. I don't know. Anyways, here he is. Benjamin, what's up, dude?
Well, I thought this was going to be a, upstanding show. I like to support new startups. I'm all about building. I think men should be building. That's what we should do as men. That's kind of the masculine urge. But we're not off to a great start. My name is Owen Benjamin. I'm not even sure who you introduced. Is there somebody else coming on as well? I just want to make sure we're clear.
It's my mistake. It's like two first names. I flip them. You know what I mean? Like Jim Bob, right. Bob Jim. It could be Bob Jim.
Right. No, I understand. If you're speaking about Jim Bob, it's understandable if your mind was a little bit discombobulated. Anybody that listens to Jim Bob seems to be a little off kilter, I'd say. But I thought today, this is the new startup Bored No More. I'm happy to support it. Barataria is behind you. I'm not sure if you already have your bear name, if you know what that is. I think everyone should, if everyone in the audience already has one assigned to them. But I today thought it'd be great to just talk about interviewing in general, because obviously you've got some work to do. So first off, you need to introduce your guests with the right name.
That's true.
Is that funny?
It is.
I haven't even gotten to the jokes yet.
Here we go.
Okay, that's good. It's good. You should laugh at yourself. You should. Yes. Spoon Bear, you've been bequeathed the name Spoon Bear.
I think I'm going to own that. I'm owning that. You
should. Well, so I thought we could do a little bit back and forth, but before that, I think I am a stand-up comedian, and usually I haven't done stand-up in front of a live audience in a while. It's usually just me in my shed with a camera. So this isn't all that different, but I think some of this is unpolished material. So I think I'll just, run it on you, and we'll kind of, I don't know how versed you are in the comedy world, but okay, here's a couple of the bits I've been working on. So, I'm a pretty smart guy. I think I read a lot of books. Actually, I usually listen to audiobooks so I can watch my wife garden at the same time. Whenever Elon can get audiobooks to have pictures in them, real books not going to be made anymore. I read a book recently that said in ancient Greece there was a ritual known as pharmakos. Big pharma back in the day. They're still around. The homeless people were called pharmakoi. Now, these pharmakoi would be fed. And you might think that's like people being charity, like giving charity. No, that's not why they're being fed. They were kept alive, so at a certain point, they could be used as a public sacrifice. I mean, this sounds a little dark, but no, don't worry. There's a silver lining here. So they would beat the pharmakoi, the homeless people. They would beat them and whip them in their genitals. Okay. In contrast, we give the homeless today fentanyl. So there's the homeless today don't have it anywhere near as good. For obvious reasons, the Greeks stopped doing this public sacrifice of the pharmakoi because everyone wanted to be homeless. Man, were you married?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. Well, you need to say this is a bit, so you need to say yes.
Yes, I'm married.
Okay. If you were ever cheated on, you'd want it to be with a black guy, right?
Preferably.
Right. Asian would be the worst.
Yes.
My wife the other day was doing some work on the house, and I asked her what she was doing, and she said she was caulking.
Yeah.
I said that's not how that's pronounced. It's pronounced caulking. Have you ever noticed how women don't like they don't pronounce the T in water, but they sure as heck pronounce the L in caulking.
This is true.
Did you ever hear that Origin cut off his own balls?
I didn't. Did he?
He did. Yes, he did. He cut off his own balls because he thought he'd be more holy, not having the lustful passions.
I see.
Can you imagine how different King Arthur's tale would have been if he knew that fact?
Yes, it would be strange for sure. He'd be the second eunuch.
Yes, correct. People often ask me if I'm a homosexual. They call me a homosexual. A lot of them do. You'd be surprised. And that's because they think that I let my wife do all the work on my property. I usually assume these people are just bad dog owners.
Yes, yeah, I guess I could see that. This is in Bertaria.
Yes, in Barataria, yes. Why would you not put your woman to work? It's not manly if you don't let your woman work. It's your property.
This is true.
Anyways, if you want to live off grid, you better get used to be called an anti-Semite.
Yes,
because the moment you pull out of the banking system, you're going to get put on a list. Did you know it's illegal in 28 states to boycott Israel?
I did.
So if you get out of the banking system, you'll be on a list. You'll be on a list. This week in politics, Black people still able to vote. You know, I've been brushing my teeth for most of my life. My parents taught me how to do that. I'm sure your parents probably taught you as well. So my wife, for Christmas, about 4 years ago now, she bought me this toothbrush, and I've been brushing like this. Here, I'll demonstrate. Just 2 days ago, she said, look at this. There's a button. And I don't know if you can hear that. It vibrates. So that got me thinking. This is multi-used. I've been working with a man who owns a 3D printer. We're trying to get this in a better, more ergonomic shape.
I see. I could see where you. Yeah.
Well,
wait a minute.
So let me see.
Could you use that at the same time? Like now, I'm thinking outside of the box. While you
if it was very long,
yeah,
and it had a joint. I think you need a joint.
Oh yeah, or close. Like I'm picturing.
What?
Never mind. Never mind. The old man will just.
No. I'm very interested in this.
I'm sorry, Owen, Mr. Owen Benjamin. I apologize. I went too dirty there. Too crass.
Well, I mean, I think it's, God intended us to have this urge. It's called the male prostate.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. It is. It's interesting. I see where you're going.
I mean, I've been known to explore that.
Okay.
I've been known. And I'm not saying, it doesn't make me gay.
Not at all.
Well, that's about. I have a video, but we can banter back and forth. I think that would play well with your audience. I think that just having me on screen is probably good for your audience. So let's try to banter a little more.
Absolutely. So
is this your first interview?
Second. I did one earlier today. This is my second interview ever.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you need you have a lot of work to go. I definitely recommend. As somebody who's been in entertainment most of my life, I've interviewed many people. I've been on the interviewing side as I am right now. I definitely recommend getting more experience in it. It's a skill. So you go ahead. I'll let you do it's your show. It's your reins. I'll let you hold them.
Well, give me some tips. Like what can I work on? Because I remember watching that interview you did with Joe Rogan, and that was quite the interview. You threw out some N-bombs, I believe, if I'm correct. Is that a good tip? Should I be doing that?
Right. Yeah. Well, it depends. If there's Black people in your audience, you have to say it the right way. If you're not Black, they don't like the hard R. And I'm not quite sure what that is or why that is.
Right.
But even if you're white, it seems to me that that if you drop the hard R, that it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try that. Especially because you grew up in the South, so that kind of works. Or right.
Here, let's try it right now. Let's try it now. Hey, are there any? Yes, of course. Are there any black people in the chat here tonight? Are there any black people?
Yes, good question. Are there any? I know
because if I have Mano here say the N-word, well, okay. Well, if Mr. Westford ever shows up, then that'll be fine. So, Mano, I don't think it's really profitable right now for you to say the N-word because the only people that plays well with is the blacks. As long as you don't drop the hard R, that's the main factor.
Right. Like
I feel like we should have been talking about interviewing. How did we get here?
Well, because you're giving me tips, and you allowed me to speak, and of course I veered it into a weird place. Right. So first off, again, I think the biggest place I see that you could improve on is get the name of your guest correct. I just want to reiterate that. That's true.
Very important.
That is true. Actually, that's very true. Even in reality, it's actually true.
Well, I do have a video. I think maybe we should cut to that.
Sure.
Because as I said, you have a lot of room to grow in your interviewing skills. So I think this is me trying to save you. If I could share the screen here.
Yeah.
I don't know. What is your guest's, your co-host's bear name? I'd like to refer to him by his proper bear name.
Well, he's called Vanny Bear.
Vanny Bear. Okay. Vanny Bear, if you could pull this up. All right. Thank you. And I do want to preface this with, my wife wasn't able to put all the clips in here in time. I tried to center it, but there was a conflict with the time zones. I was told the wrong time zone. So that's not my fault. My wife didn't put together in time. It's not my fault. But here. So context is important. You should always remember context. So this is me trying to promote your show, trying to educate. So I am unapologetically calling everything I do as infotainment. Yes, I'm hilarious, but I also want to educate people and add value. So this is okay, let me ask you this. Do you believe the American government has overreached its power and overstepped its bounds?
Absolutely.
Good. That was an IQ test. Now, do you think there's anything that can be done about it, or should we just lay back and take it?
Oh, there's definitely things to be done.
Right. That's what this video is about. This is a step-by-step comprehensive, except for what my wife forgot to put in there, guide how to be a dissident right-winger, how to subvert the government.
Love it.
I think we can all agree that the government has too many hands in all of our pies. There's too much government intervention. So that's why I recommend everyone be the first one to intervene. And I would recommend, first off, starting a garden. I know many of you grew up as like inside kids. Maybe you were on the internet a lot. Good news. You can go on the internet and find out about gardening. That's what I did. So I would recommend you start off first with a tomato plant. I know this isn't what you're usually used to looking at the store. You probably still go to the store to buy all your vegetables. See, look right here. This is actually a tomato. They start off green. Most people don't tell you that, but they do. They start off green. So my wife planted this, and these right here, this is actually called a garden bed. It's a raised garden bed. My wife put all these together. I bought them. I unpacked them. And I set them here, and my wife put them together. So yeah, I would recommend you start with tomatoes, tomato plants. The government hates people when they make tomatoes because that makes you a sovereign citizen. They cannot take away your green tomato. Next, you're going to want to get some chickens. You've probably heard of them. You've probably eaten eggs before. They come from chickens. You're probably on the internet right now watching me. Go look up chickens in Google. A lot of things will come up. So first, you'll want to build one of these things. That's called a chicken coop. You just have to get your wife, get some tools, have her build it for you. And then you put the chickens in there. They go in there by themselves, actually, at night. At night, they go in there, and that's like their house. If I have to explain what a house is, the government is probably going to get you. You're not going to be able to intervene. You're not going to be able to stand a chance if you don't know what a house is.
It's true.
Hopefully, I don't have to explain that to you. If I do, you're probably black. As a man, it's very important to have your own place to get by yourself, away from the wife and the kids. All that estrogen is not good for you, like the government. But I recommend you get your own studio, workshop, man cave. I built this one here myself. This might be a couple years down the line compared to the tomato plant that we started earlier, but it's always good to have goals to shoot for. I planted this apple tree to start my orchard years ago, and it's grown. It has grown nice and strong. As you can see, the apples, green, just like the tomatoes. You remember the tomatoes? Now, pro tip, when you start your orchard, if anything ever happens to your apple tree, if it ever falls, get one of these pieces of wood to help prop it up. And that's how you would start pushing back against the government, the deep state, the shadow government that controls every aspect of our lives. You want to get off of the grid as much as possible. That's why I have laid it out as simply as I can. Now, as you can see, my wife has always got many projects going on. It's a little bit hectic here. It can be very loud. I've been sitting here for a while trying to make sure I can have good audio. But please donate to me. You need to be able to have your own thing like this going. I really recommend that you become a sovereign citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Get it? That joke may have flown over a couple of your heads. Especially if you're black.
Well, there you have it, everybody. That was how to be a sovereign citizen, how to overthrow the government one person at a time.
I think
you have any questions?
I have a comment. I think we should do a panel where you explain this to Jim Bob. What do you think about that?
Okay.
Would that work?
I can tell you, he knows how to change a boat battery, but he doesn't know how to fight the government or be a man. Tell his wife how to get to work.
I see. Yeah. You have to make sure you have a good working wife for sure. That's a very good tip. I like that.
Right. Yeah. Jim Bob makes me have respect for atheists. I look at atheists and I look at them and I think they're righteous.
Right.
When I compare them to Jim Bob.
Right, because you have a good grasp of theology. I remember you breaking down why the Trinity is ridiculous, and it was very helpful. It was very helpful.
Right.
It helped
me. It's Jewish. It's Jewish. It's Jewish to believe in the Trinity.
Right, of course.
So if you're going to believe in the Trinity, you might as well have a bank account.
Right. I like that. That should be a T-shirt. That should be a T-shirt, I think.
Right.
Yep.
I'll get my wife on that.
She silk screens as well.
Oh, she does. She's very, very, very multi-talented. Because I never let her stop.
I see. Yeah, no breaks.
Like I said.
Yep.
I'm not a homosexual.
You mentioned that a couple times. That's true. I believe you.
Good.
Yeah, sorry. So do you want me to call you Owen Benjamin or Benjamin Owen? What about Mr.? Where do I put the name after Mr.? You okay?
Can you restate the question?
Do you want me to call you Benjamin Owen or Owen Benjamin? And if I put Mr., do I say Mr. Benjamin or Mr. Owen?
Well, you can always call me Mr. That seems like a respectful term, but you should definitely call me by the name that is mine and not the one that is not mine. That's what I would recommend you do with all of your guests, is to not make up names. That's very disrespectful, I'd say. I feel like anybody that you do that's on your show probably wouldn't come back because they felt disrespected.
It has happened. It has happened with Mr. Johnson, who I'm having at the end of this whole thing. Yeah,
Mr. Johnson Buck. I think his name is
Johnson Buck. Yes, that's the name. That's the name. Mr. Johnson Buck. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the last thing I have today is, I don't know if you know this Mr. Westford fellow, but he has this long tradition of doing these "if Christians argued like atheists" videos. And he, through you, I've been talking to him, and I thought he asked me one that there's this idea, this argument he's seen from these atheists that he hasn't been able to put into the right format. So he thought he'd recruit your intelligent, lovely chat that has no black people in it to help craft the perfect video.
Okay.
So there's a common thing that atheists will do. It's called a category error. They will say, okay, you say there's a God that exists. What if I say there's a unicorn that's in space and it is invisible that exists?
Mm-hmm.
Should you believe that too? Or, hey, should you believe in Bigfoot just because I say it exists? They'll say something like that. So that's a category error. They're saying that a creature, something within creation that has no empirical evidence, is the same as God. God would be prior to existence. So that is a category error. If the chat could come up with some kind of way for a Christian to make that similar category error, that would be putting it into the format of Mr. Westford's series.
I see. So you want to?
And I think I'm going to stop the talking like that. That's really annoying to talk like that. How you doing, man? I'm back.
No, I got to be honest with you. Like, if anyone's ever watched Mr. Owens do his thing, or Benjamin Owens, whatever the frick his name is, dude, you actually do that is what his stream is like. I haven't watched it in forever, but I remember in 2020 when he started doing some crap, it was very much like that, talking down to the audience about the most basic stuff.
Yep, it is.
Here's a chicken coop, and it's like, man, that guy's drives me nuts. Drives me nuts.
Yeah, that's what like you were like, I want you to do some Owen Benjamin comedy. I'm like, well, you're asking me to turn something that's very not funny into something funny. So let's give it a try.
This is Raphael from Orthodox Review, the most uneducated educational program on the internet, and you're listening to Bored No More Network.
Bored no more.